cold day, winter, 1989. I'm leaving out of Clark Junior High School with my brother and some friends. All of a sudden we run into this popular gang leader, has a reputation for killing. Fear grips my heart. He stops us, pulls out a gun, points it to my head, and says, "Give me your shoes." He says, "Don't run, I'll kill you." Amazingly, ended up escaping that situation. As I look back on it, it was God's grace. But that was the last straw for my dad and my family. They had had enough of the violence and the crime, and so we moved to Houston, Texas. Little did I know, 25 years later, God would give me the privilege to come back to my hometown and preach the good news of his son to the people of East St. Louis. Growing up in East St. Louis was a real blessing. Man, this is the house that I grew up in. When my parents said we were moving to Houston, Texas, man, I was excited. I heard about Texas. I didn't know much about it, but I just knew it was different from East St. Louis. So we moved to Houston, Texas, and three words that begin with S really began to take over my life. Sex, substance abuse, and sports. Really, sex was like my religion, and substance abuse was my escape. Sports was my God, and I didn't want to have anything to do with God or Jesus. I just wanted to be consumed. And it got to a point where I began to do drugs and sell drugs on my college campus. It really got crazy. Lost my scholarship. My friends back in Houston came to me and they said, "We know what you need, Kempton. You need to go to Mardi Gras." And I was out there drinking, smoking with girls, being wild. And right there near Bourbon Street in Mardi Gras, God sent a man and a woman right there to tell us about Jesus Christ. And I'm like, wait up, man, hold up. I'm out here on the street getting wild. But God starts to do a work in my heart. And we pray with this woman and this man. And that's when God really begins to pursue me. I get back home in Houston, and I'm in my house by myself, and I lift up my fat blunt, smoking weed, lift it up to the sky. It's kind of funny now that I do this. Never seen anybody lift their hands in my life. And I just said, "Jesus, if you are real, if you are the Jesus that I heard about growing up in East St. Louis, then you have to come and deliver me, because I am ready to die." If somebody were to tell me when I was out yelling profanities, cursing the Lord's name in my sin, that he would call me into ministry to be a pastor and send me back to the city that I was raised in for the sake of his name, I would laugh. For almost 7 years, I've been at Bethlehem Baptist Church as the pastor for senior high. A couple of years ago, I began to feel a desire to move beyond senior high ministry, to take the gospel into what we believe are the neediest places in America, and that's the inner city urban context. I remember very clearly December the 6th, 2013, I'm sitting in my house, my kids are sleeping, my wife is gone, and I get a blog post update in my email box, and it was from Rebirth, a ministry in East St. Louis, and the email begins to describe how the gospel has been penetrating East St. Louis through the ministry of Rebirth, and how the ministry of Rebirth longed for a church plant to start there to mobilize the efforts that are already happening in East St. Louis. Right when I read church plant, all I can describe is, in the words of Nehemiah and the words of the prophet Ezra, the good hand of the Lord was heavily upon me. And it was clear that God was calling me to this work, to partner with Rebirth for the sake of planting a church in East St. Louis. There are already good things and good people throughout East St. Louis. And so we're excited to join the momentum of what God is already doing in a city with so much potential. The name of our church is City of Joy Fellowship, taken right from Acts chapter 8, when the gospel infiltrates Samaria, and Acts 8 verse 8 says, much joy filled the city. That's our hope and that's our prayer for East St. Louis, that as we move in and as we proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ, the Lord will fill the city with joy. Will you join us in prayer and support as we seek to see the gospel bring joy to East St. Louis?